husbands to participate. So insert laugh track here. So, yep, I get it. I will be sending you your slides, and yep, you can't see me just yet. I'll talk about that. Right now, I just want you to hear my voice, and I will be sending out all of these slides after we are done today. So when you first logged into Zoom, you may have seen my PowerPoint on your entire screen. So the instructions should have helped you maybe reconfigure your screen for more desirable viewing pleasure. I'm not technically versed well enough, nor do we have the time to assist everybody individually on this webinar. Over time, we will learn how to navigate better. As long as you can see the PowerPoint, we are good to go. As one of my colleagues suggested, we are building this plane at 30,000 feet while we are flying it. I'm still working on some technology issues on my end. I do see I've got a test computer here that I'm running simultaneously, and I do see that it is a bit blurry. I won't be able to take care of that yet today. Maybe make your window box, your window screen a little smaller, and perhaps the blurriness, some of it will go away. I will be going through each screen, and I'll read what's on the screen in case you can't see it. Today is day one of our new virtual 1 hour workshops due to the COVID breakout. We are launching a total of 10 1 hour workshops with an additional variety of virtual AMP sessions, virtual Outlist Outlast, and sprinkled nicely with our lead generation series of workshops. You should have ample opportunity to find topics that interest you, and they are all in nice little bite-sized chunks. Just to give you an idea of the other ones that you can sign up for this month, we're running 66 national 1 hour workshops. So aside from this one, there's the ultimate listing presentation. There's one called Buyers Are Not Liars, the Forgotten Funnel, 4 Steps to a Fruitful Farm, your #1 resource for lead generation, the ultimate guide to rocking objections, the 7 negotiating skills that will change your business, priority management and goal setting, finding sellers in a low inventory market, lights, camera, staging, and then, of course, this one, turning 1 listing into 4 transactions. And then just as a heads up, if you have not been notified, there is an education expo. There's been a few of them across the country. There'll be another one. Another one is scheduled for tomorrow. It's real heavy on social media stuff. So that would be a great one to participate. And it too is just a 1 hour workshop. All right, let me make sure, see if my technology works here. I'm going to move on to the next slide. And yes, it does. All right, so as agents, you are constantly exploring and trying new approaches to stay connected with your current clients and finding new ways to increase your sphere of influence and impact lives. In learning and development, we are not much different. We want to continue supporting you and are looking for alternative ways to bring you new educational opportunities. This is our exploration. When our world returns to normal, and who knows what that'll look like, we can return to the classroom with our productivity workshops, but we will have thoroughly vetted our new virtual tools. More specifically, we will have lessons learned in delivery, in effectiveness, in content, in stickiness, the timing of everything, and areas of improvement for me, the instructors. This is where we might find a silver lining in all of this. Perhaps this forum will continue on and offer you just another alternative to your training opportunities. There is, however, an interesting perspective that I want you to consider. In Minnesota, and that's where I'm from, I'll tell you about myself in a moment here. In Minnesota, I teach Minnesota real estate practices to Minnesota agents. We discuss Minnesota challenges, Minnesota objections, Minnesota best practices, and the like. We have about 150 to 180 agents on these workshops from all over the country. And agents tell me all the time, part of what they love about our classroom workshops is the collaboration and the sharing of ideas amongst the agents. While these short 1 hour workshops might be somewhat constrained, please share your ideas, put your questions and comments in the chat box, and let's truly try to leverage the platform that we all find ourselves in now. All right, let me go to the next slide. There we go. All right, so you are in the right room, and if that's too blurry, let me just read what that says. Turning one listing into four. We want to maximize your precious time by turning every single listing into multiple transactions. By leveraging easy techniques like identifying buyers, targeting your open house invitations, and circle prospecting around the property, you can make more money from your listings and have more time to enjoy it. So, before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Let me go ahead and start my video and see what happens. There we go. There we are. All right. So, as it says there, my name is Rob File. I'm in Minnesota. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I am a certified new construction sales specialist through the National Association of Builders. I'm a graduate of the Realtor Institute with my GRI designation, and I'm a Realtor Senior Advisor. I've been licensed in 2001, and I joined Coldwell Banker in 2016 as an agent, and shortly thereafter, I began teaching and became part of the instructional team here in Minnesota. In addition to the productivity workshop side of our house that I oversee, we also have a real estate school here, and we offer about 30 CE classes. I oversee both sides of our house, the productivity workshop side and the CE school work side. I also teach for the St. Paul Association of Realtors, the Minneapolis Association of Realtors, and the Minnesota Association of Realtors. In 2016, I took on the role of Director of Learning and Development for Coldwell Banker Burnett here in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. And in 2017 is when NRT came and brought us all together around the country. And I am now part of the NRT Real Estate Sales Instructor team, and I am in the West region. I love real estate. I love helping buyers and sellers sell real estate. I love the impact that we make as realtors in their lives. Taking on additional roles wherever you are at, taking on additional roles within your brokerages allows you to leverage your real estate license in a different way, but it still allows you to make an impact on people's lives. And I kind of think that's why we all do this. Just a reminder that the concepts discussed in this session are best practices. How you choose to apply them is up to you. Due to the newness, hang on a sec here, due to the newness of these 1 hour, and for lack of a better term, presentations, and due to the size and number of attendees, it is difficult to open these up for a lot of Q&A or dialogue, unlike our normal classroom classes. So with that said, I will come in and out of being on camera. I've got notes and I've got sticky notes and Post-it notes all over my desk. I've got 3 computers running. So I would rather you think that I'm a bit disorganized than be on camera and prove it to you. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the material. All right, so I see it's still kind of fuzzy on my screen here. So that first paragraph there says, congratulations on focusing your efforts on listings in the first place. Listings can be scary, intimidating, and sometimes it just seems easier to focus on those happy little buyers. So congratulations on focusing your efforts. Yes, sellers do require more upfront work. They do require a better formulated value proposition and more, quite honestly, self-confidence from the agent. When you look around your office at the teams, when you see the solo agents that are doing substantive business, they seem to have one thing in common. They are all really good listing agents. The statistics reveal a healthy balance of buyer and listings business is about a 60-40 split, 60-40% on listings and 40% on buyers. Today, we are going to explore how to increase your odds at leveraging listings to get more listings and more business. The middle sentence there says, congratulations on wanting to focus strategically on listings and wringing the most possible benefits out of each one through leads, through referrals, through brand exposure. And for those of you that have taken our List Out Last classes, you will recall we talk about listings as your ATM. A stands for attraction. When we fully leverage our listings, from signs with name riders, the MLS, and the hundreds of websites, the MLS feeds, the postcards, social media, open houses, broker tours, flyers, brochures, we get to brag. We are busy real estate professionals in a variety of ways, in addition to bragging about things like offers coming in, bragging about multiple offers, over asking offers, closings, and all of the other milestones that you wish to showcase. In the alternative, we don't really do any of this when we're working with a buyer. Maybe we post something after a closing. Does anyone really drive down the street when you're working with a buyer and roll down your window at a passerby and say, hey, I'm a realtor. Yep, I got buyers. They're in behind me in the Ford Explorer. Yeah, I'm working. And then roll down your window on the other side of your car. Hey, I'm a realtor. I'm working with buyers. They're following me. We would never do anything like that. In the Outlist Outlast class, we prove to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that your time is better spent with sellers and you will make more money. I facilitated of the live classes, I have facilitated somewhere between 30 and 40 of these Outlist Outlast classes with an average size class of probably 30 agents. And of those classes, the crowdsourcing that we do, the interaction that we have, they all tend to agree the ATM numbers. The time spent with sellers is more productive. There's less time we typically spend with sellers, and we make more money working with sellers. So the last paragraph to the right on your screen says, congratulations on taking the time to focus on learning a new skill, a new way of approaching your business and investing in yourself. So then, congratulations on taking the time to look for another nugget you can incorporate into your business practices. We know you won't walk away from these workshops having memorized everything. But if you find just one or two little gems that you can try and implement into your business, multiply that by our 10 new workshops, then use the multiplier X factor with our AMP class, with our Outlist Outlast class, and then the series of 5 lead generating series workshops. Now we're talking about investment in time and its payoff. So, who is your ideal client? Who do you want to attract? In order to become a listing superstar, you want to identify characteristics that make up your ideal client. These are the buyers and sellers that are in your preferred location, maybe in your preferred price range, and most importantly, that you can relate to. For example, an agent who is new to being a realtor and lives in their first townhome might find it easier to relate to the first time homebuyer or other townhome owners who also live in their first home. If you live in an upscale property on Lakeshore, perhaps your ideal client are other Lakeshore property homeowners or buyers looking for Lakeshore property. Since the goal is to continue growing your business by referrals, you want to be working with people who also have a sphere of influence that you can relate to. In order to find these ideal clients, you need to be strategic. All right, another bit fuzzy slide, so let me just review the slide. We want to strategically select your listings. Listings are basically client bait. And yes, the potential buyers, yes, for potential buyers, but also those considering selling. And every listing is a perfect opportunity to have potential clients contacting you for real estate needs. The second bullet is a bit interesting when we talk about working with sellers and we talk about doing things like open houses. We have to sometimes wonder, how do buyers and sellers find us in the first place? Imagine yourself being a homeowner who is thinking about selling their house and you don't know any realtors. Maybe you've only been in the area for a couple of years. Maybe in their sphere of influence they just don't know anybody who's a realtor. So how would we go about that? Well, we're probably going to go out to the internet. We're going to do a Google search for real estate agents in our town. And look, honey, only 723 agents are working our area. How are we going to pick the ones to come over to our house and talk about what they do? And how would they pick them out? Do they pick them out by what their picture looks like? Do they pick them out by the names? Do they pick out two guys and two girls? How do they pick them out? It becomes kind of a crapshoot. And then when they do pick them out, the idea is, hey, yeah, say, honey, so let's pick out four strangers and let's invite them over to our house for coffee. Have them give us a 1 hour PowerPoint presentation. That'll be exciting. And then at the end, we'll be under immense pressure to sign their listing contracts, but we will have to wait until we've seen all four of them. So, yeah, that's for many sellers, that's not the ideal way to find realtors. So what we're seeing is a lot of potential sellers are looking in their area for open houses. And we're going to talk about open houses, but this is something that you can't discount. When you're sitting in your open house, you have to realize that not everybody that's coming through your open house is a potential buyer. Many of them are potential sellers and they're informally interviewing you. So this slide here, so strategically select your listings. So what does this really mean? Listings don't have to be your listings for you to leverage them as client bait, as the slide suggests. Doing open houses for other agents from within your brokerage is a fabulous tactic when you are newer or you wish to gain experience talking the talk and walking the walk of a real estate professional. Understanding your buyer needs so you can promptly alert them about new properties on the market is also a way to put out bait for your additional business. So here's the thing to consider about bait. Only put out bait for the fish that you want to catch. So when we talk about doing open houses for other agents, how do we find open houses to do? Well, one way is to do a search for open houses that are represented by your brokerage and try to find the names on those listings by agents from your brokerage who are from maybe an office of your brokerage that's 2 hours away. Maybe that agent took their cousin's listing that is 2 hours away in your territory, but they're not real crazy about a 2 hour drive for doing an open house. Maybe they're not crazy about doing an impromptu showing 2 hours away. So that's a great way to find open houses in your area. If they're listed by agents from your brokerages that are not in your immediate area, give them a call, knock on their door, let them know that you might be interested in sitting in their open house. Look for properties that are listed by your brokerage that perhaps have had recent price reductions. Yes, it's great to sit in an open house that is brand new on the market. That's fresh. It's going to get a lot of activity. But do a search for this weekend on maybe any listings that have had a recent price reduction in the last week, and maybe see if you could sit in on that. And then look for the agents in your office that are doing a lot of business. The solo agents that have lots of listings, they don't have necessarily the time to do all the open houses for all the requests for open houses on the weekend. So that's another good tactic, is to look for the solo agents in your office who have lots of listings, knock on their door, introduce yourself. If you're a newer agent, you are still of value to them. And remember that. And it doesn't take any more than knocking on their door. Yeah, hi Frank. Yeah, my name is Rob File. I know we haven't met yet, but I see your activity here in the office, and you're doing a fabulous job. I noticed you've got a ton of listings, and congratulations. And you've got a new listing that just came up. I would love to sit in any of your listings and do an open house if you've got any sellers that are looking to have an open house done. I'll be happy to talk to you about what I can bring to the table and my tactics for doing open houses. So, for you newer agents, don't feel shy about knocking on the veterans' doors and seeing if you can sit in some of their open houses. We're about 20 minutes. Well, I'm going to go through one more slide here, and then I've got a short little exercise. So, most of us think, this slide says, most of us think that I'll take just about any listing that comes my way. But consider what happens when you take a listing that you know is overpriced. Consider what happens when you take a listing that you know is out of your geographic area. For many of us, especially when we are new, we will take every listing we can find, and for many good reasons. Maybe we haven't had a closing in a while. Maybe we need a paycheck. Maybe we are trying to expand into another area. Maybe it's in an area we're trying to farm. The challenge becomes when that opportunity is a seller with unrealistic pricing expectations, or the listing is an hour and a half away because the seller is your cousin. In both instances, these can be a real drag on your time and can hamper your ability to assist your clients who are priced properly, and or opportunities that are closer to home. We call those opportunity costs. Are there strategies you can instill to protect your time and opportunity costs? Of course there are. With overpriced listings, perhaps getting an agreement with the seller about a potential conversation once we have exceeded the average days on market. Letting them know at that point you would review all of your marketing efforts and reapplying some of them. You will find out if the neighborhood has any downward pricing pressures from any new listings. Has there been any FSBOs in the area? Having a well thought out strategy and plan, you can show your listings are prepared and you are a professional. Now, I know many agents will ask for a pre-signed price reduction. And I used to do that as well at the listing table if I thought that the pricing expectations were too high, because Zillow said the home was worth 450, even though on the best day, in its best light, I know this property won't exceed 425, but because Zillow said it was worth 450, they're not budging off of 450. So, what are the tactics you might use? What are the tactics you might use? So, perhaps we want to try to meet them somewhere in the middle. Of course, we're going to explain the effects of being stale, the effects of being on the market for a long time, and then eventually the statistics will reveal that the home will eventually sell for lower than its actual price. So in that case, I know many agents will put on the table that I'd like to offer up an automated price reduction in this neighborhood. Fred and Wilma, in this neighborhood, the average days on market has been 27 days. If we get to the 27th day and we still do not have a buyer or have attracted any offers, I would like to institute this automatic price reduction. Now, in some cases that might work, but my question to you becomes, how do we know that price reduction is enough? If you ask for a $5,000 price reduction up front, how do we know that price reduction of $5,000 in 27 days is going to be warranted? We don't know if the neighbor's house is going to be up for sale. We don't know if a FSBO across the street is going to be up for sale. So we don't know what downward pressures on price there might be once we've exceeded the average days on market. But you can still have the conversation and set the expectations. Fred and Wilma, if we get to the average days on market or we exceed that, I would just like to prepare you that I'll be giving you a call and we should have that conversation then. At that point, I'll be reviewing all of my marketing activity and we'll double up on some of our marketing exercises, but we might have to look to see if there's any downward pricing pressures in the neighborhood and have that conversation about, do we need to make any pricing adjustments? So just be careful if you're having any pre-signed pricing reduction signed. All right, so tactics and tools. I would like to just take a minute here, take a small little break. I'd like to get an idea of the flavor of the group. So we've got an ability in our Zoom to do polls. I've got two polls, and hopefully I've set them up properly and they work. So I'm going to choose the polls and I'm going to launch it. And then these are anonymous, so I will not see. But I'd like to ask two questions. I'd like to find out the tenure of the group, and then I'd like to find out, kind of from a personal perspective, where all of you are currently sitting. So let me go ahead and launch the first poll. And I believe you should be able to see that. Go ahead and awesome. All right, just a few more seconds and we'll go ahead and close out this poll. All right, looks like the polling has stopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. And then I would like to share the results. So hopefully you can see that on your screen. My practice screen suggests that you can. And okay, looks like we've got a great mixture, great flavor of agents. Almost over half of our agents on this call have been in the business for less than 5 years. And then um, we've got some great veterans on the call. I'm seeing some chats coming in that you didn't see the poll. I at this point I can't help with that. So let's move on. I'm going to stop sharing those, and I would like to try the next poll. Go ahead and cancel that. And then I'm interested to see where all of you are from. Allow panelists. Maybe that's it. All right, let's try this one. There are a couple of you that said you couldn't see it. Question is, can you see? Oh, hang on a sec. Let me try that one again. There's a setting on this one that doesn't seem to be sharing. That's not as important. I was just curious as to where everyone is from. I did take a look to see, and it looks like there was a good variety of people from around the country. So that is awesome. All right, so let's just dive back into the material. We're at the halfway point, so we are right on schedule. We're in the tactics and tools section. All right. Hang on a sec. I'm on the wrong slide. Best laid plans. We are on slide number. There we go. Talk about tools and preparing the listing. Sorry about that. All of these kinds of bugs will eventually get worked out. All right. So strategically marketing the listing. Says right there, to prepare the listings, we want to declutter as much as possible. Consider staging and landscaping. Your name and contact info is on the yard sign. Social media and MLS, you film you next to the yard sign announcing your new listing and drive traffic to it with your custom URL. Ask your sellers what attracted them to the house and create a story to tell about the benefits of the home, and then personalize virtual tours with your own audio, photo descriptions, music, and calls to action. So preparing the listing, let's start at the top. We want to be honest with our sellers in order to meet their real estate goals. Decluttering and staging for many of us can sometimes be a bit of an uncomfortable conversation. I know I have unintentionally insulted sellers by bringing this topic up. If you don't have these resources at your fingertips, though, how do you find the resources to help you with decluttering and staging? One, you'll want to ask around the office to the other agents. Most everyone who has been around for a while has some type of resource like that. The second option, and this I think is a bit underrated and underutilized, most everyone has a LinkedIn account. And you probably have lots and lots, hundreds and hundreds of contacts, because as soon as you got your real estate license everyone that touches the real estate business wanted to be your contact. So, what would happen if you reached out to everyone you are connected with and asked, would you be interested in being part of my virtual resource team for my clients? What are they going to say? Of course, they're going to say yes. And when they do, you will get the stager resource, the landscaping resource, and all of their contact information. And there's the key, you're going to get all of their contact information. And what do we do when we get anyone's contact information? Yes, you put it in your CRM. Maybe you put them on a gentle drip campaign. If you've got access to InTouch, the gentle drip campaign could be as simple as the holiday drip campaign. And of course, you will either have your name on the for sale panel, or in the least, have a name rider hanging from the panel. For you newer agents, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy new panels for all of your upcoming listings that are customized with your brand. Use your office brand, the Coldwell brand sign panels, and just go out and purchase some of the name riders with your cell phone number. And just make sure that when you have your listings that you're hanging them from the panel. Social media. Yes, of course, you are going to leverage social media. There are so many ways to do this, no matter your own personal skill level, with a variety of social media platforms. So, what do you do? Well, I heard a long time ago that imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. If you're part of the Realgy family, you may have access to the listing concierge, the social ad engine. If these are foreign to you, consider an outside vendor like AdWorks. So everyone write that down if you're not familiar with AdWorks. If you don't have access to Listing Concierge and the social ad engine, check out AdWorks. If you do have access to the Listing Concierge and the social ad engine, you want to explore AdWorks. A-D as in dog, W-E-R-X. AdWorks offers social media advertising programs you can leverage to advertise your listings. You can use it to advertise open houses, your personal brands. You can use it to advertise singular events. And they have ongoing campaigns both in the social media world and on the internet in popular websites. For example, you meet somebody at a party over the weekend and they gave you their contact information and they said, yep, Barney and, or let's say Fred and Wilma, yep, we're planning on moving in the next maybe 6 to 12 months. Yep, we'd like you to stay in contact because, we'd like to, you seem like a nice enough guy. Why don't you come on over and talk to us about what you do in real estate? So when I get back to my office, I can enter their email address into the AdWorks platform, and using their systems, my little tiny ad will follow them on their internet URLs that they're visiting. So for instance, maybe they're on sportsillustrated.com. Boom, my little advertising, maybe it's just a brand advertising of Rob File, best realtor, Rob the realtor, best area in the area. When you do that, that little thing will pop up on sportsillustrated.com. And then they leave sportsillustrated.com and they go to homeandgarden.com. And boom, your little ad your ad will follow them as they go around the internet in their explanations, and they'll get to see you, and it'll reinforce the concept that you are a professional, busy, obviously very successful if you're advertising on the internet. Hey, honey, this Rob guy that we met at the party, boy, he must be a good realtor because he's on sportsillustrated.com with an advertisement. Wow, we should call him. Make sure we call him. So the AdWorks, again, is spelled A-D as in dog, W-E-R-X. And then for you newer agents, you can also start by spending a few bucks. You can really do some boosting on your Facebook pages for $5 or $10. But just make sure, however you're doing your advertising, that you're cautious about abiding by all of the fair housing rules. So next, yep, you want to ask the seller what they love about the property. You want to use this to create a supplement for your MLS. I'm assuming all of your MLSs are the same or similar as the MLSs that we have here in Minnesota. We've got the ability to add a supplement to our listings so we can talk about a lot more things than the standard field character limits will allow. So you want to use it as a supplement. Maybe you want to use it in the public remarks in the MLS, put it on the flyers and the brochures. For those of you that have been around a long time, just like me, I know that you see too many listings and they use the public remark section. Say things like 4-bedroom house, 2 full baths, 1 3/4 bath in the lower level, 3-car garage, 3/4 lot, blah, blah, blah. How boring is that? All of that information is already listed on the MLS. So use your public remarks to tell a story. And for me, that was always challenging. It was challenging for me to come up with the creative, attractive, um, come see this 2-story Tudor nestled in the cul-de-sac of Kensington Woods backing up to the Brooklyn Brook and blah, blah. I was never good at that. But you know what? We all have resources in our offices that are good at that. We have people in our offices that are great at marketing. Most of our marketing resources, heck, they went to school and got marketing degrees. So if you're looking for great verbiage and how to convert the 4-bedroom, 2 baths, 3/4 bath, 3-car garage, blah, 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 into something more of a great story to tell about the property, go talk to your marketing people. And then lastly, push everything that you do out to your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence may not be interested in buying or selling, but you want them to see that you are a working, busy, professional realtor. Maybe consider creating a YouTube channel. Put everything that you do, put every listing, every sale into a 1-minute recap video. And everything you do, be sure to ask your sellers to send it out to their sphere as well. We never really know where the buyer originally finds out about the house. The buyer could be the seller's aunt's, Martha's, bowling buddy's cousin's daughter. We just never really know where a buyer might decide, you know what, I'm going to call that Remax agent and I'm going to have them get us in to see that property over on Elm Street listed by Coldwell Banker. We don't always know that. So next slide here. How to attract the most likely buyer. So look at the most recent buyer search of the property, which are your sellers. And then who were they when they bought the property? And why did they buy it? So who is the most likely person to buy this house? Are they newlyweds? Are they younger families, younger single people? Are they empty nesters? Are they multi-generation families? For example, if the neighborhood is a side-by-side townhome, 2 bedrooms, under 200K, perhaps your ideal buyer is a first-time home buyer. Maybe just getting out of school, or maybe they're currently renting. To get a better understanding of the demographics, ask the sellers. Or if you have access to the Coldwell Banker tool CBX, CBX is a great way to identify both the demographics of the neighborhood, but it will also identify the demographics of the most likely buyer, but more importantly, where that current buyer currently lives. And then we can use it to do some targeted marketing. So strategically targeting the buyer. Where do they live? Where are they online? How can you get in front of them? And how can you get them to your listing? So how can we strategically target the buyer? First, we have to determine where that buyer might currently reside. The Coldwell Banker CBX tool can help identify the buyer demographics. If you don't have access to the CBX tool, or you've been reluctant to explore it, now is the time to explore the tools you've been ignoring on your CB desk or your desk platforms. If you don't have access to that, as a realtor, can you do research and find housing in a 5 mile radius around the subject property? Can you do a search of or the 5 mile radius that is priced 20 to 30% lower? Can you find apartment buildings with renters? Can you find rental communities of condos? Can you find rental communities of condos? The assumption is yes, you can. And once identified, how do we get us to them? So we've already talked a lot about social media advertising. And if you're not real social media savvy, and at the time when I was a full-time practicing agent, I was not social media savvy. Now we have lots of workshops. The educational expo things we're doing like tomorrow is all about social media. My guess is that in your CE classrooms and your CE providers in your area, there are CE classes on social media. They are live, they are online, they are recorded. You definitely want to start exploring them. And I get it. I'm not what the social media platforms that my adult children are, my adult kids are on, I'm not familiar with. But if I want to fully leverage my entire sphere of influence, because at some point I want my daughter and my son's sphere of influence when they start buying houses, I want to be in front of them. I want them to also know that I'm a practicing professional real estate that can relate to them and are on the same type of social media platforms that they are on. The second thing is we can leverage the Postal Service with their EDDM program. If you're not familiar with the EDDM program, that is the Everyday Direct Mail. It's a bit old school, but if you've identified a neighborhood of targeted potential sellers, using the EDDM method allows you reduced rates through the Postal Service, and you can send postcards to specific postal routes. So write that down as another nugget if you're not familiar with them. I also mentioned earlier AdWorks, and again, one more time, it's A, D as in dog, WERX. It would be my suggestion, if you are not familiar with these, that you start exploring them now. All right, so let's talk about some things on this page here. We've got direct mail, we've got online, the Tell 20, and we've got open houses. Direct mail, yep, still a great way to get your listings in front of potential buyers, but also a good way to keep your personal brand in front of potential buyers and seller. And if these buyers are currently owners, then your excitement doubles. Tell 20. Today, this might be a bit frowned upon, but someday the day will end. Our tried and true real estate practices shall return. Door knocking, practicing your 5-5-10 play or your 10-10-20 play, where you have a listing up or you have an open house opportunity where you go and knock on doors to the 5 houses to the left, to the 5 houses to the right, and the 10 houses across the street. You knock on their door, you introduce yourselves, you let them know that you're holding an open house later on today, you provide them a flyer, and then you invite them to attend. I get it though, right now, open houses, at least in Minnesota, open houses are now not only frowned upon, but they've been forbidden. So check your local listings for that. And then online, these are just a fraction of what agents are exploring. And you know what? I hear many agents shy away from Facebook, especially the younger demographics. I heard one young person say to me in a class one time that, you know what? Facebook is where old people go to argue and insult each other. That doesn't mean you don't want to be part or have Facebook as one of your business outlets. And you must have a personal Facebook account to set up your business page. You definitely want a business page. Remember, someday you will run low on the people that are just like you, the people in your sphere of influence, and you will want to reach out to people who are different than you, people who are different demographic. And so by getting on Facebook, even though you may not like Facebook, get out there and at least put together a Facebook business page. If you are my demographic, and I'm not on Snapchat, but if I was still a practicing agent, I would figure out how the younger demographic agents are using Snapchat in their businesses, and I would do everything I could to incorporate that. The idea, oh, and then the last thing in my notes here is don't leave Craigslist off of your radar either. Craigslist is generally more for first time home buyers, but if that is the demographic you're trying to attract, then perhaps that is the right bait to use to catch the fish you're trying to catch. Also, if you have any access to any lease with the right to purchase programs, such as Home Partners of America, Craigslist is also where renters look for their next rental. And you know what? If you have a program like Home Partners of America, you don't have to have a listing to advertise that you can help renters on Craigslist. They have some generic advertisements that you can use on Craigslist where you can simply put in an ad branding yourself, suggesting to renters that you have ample inventory of potential rental opportunities. So I saw a list the other day, and many I've never heard of. So things like, and maybe some of you have, but I have no idea. Ripple, Mojo, Apple Clips, Google Slides, Quick. The idea is to explore them all. And I know on the Education Expos, they talk about these different platforms. So lastly, open houses. Now probably not a hot topic here in Minnesota. Again, we're not allowed to do open houses. Once we get back to normal, just remember that we do have some great workshops on open houses as well. So strategically leveraging open houses, we'll kind of go through this at a quick clip, but if you can't read it, it says attract and capture unrepresented buyers and potential sellers. Just to reiterate, just recognize that people coming through your open house aren't always buyers. They may be just strategically or secretly interviewing listing agents. They want to find out, is this listing agent, do they have a nice personality? Are they too pushy? Do they not push enough? How much do they know about the property? How much do they know about the neighborhood? Is this the agent we could see sitting in our open house once we list our property? So bullet point number 1, at the open house, gather registrations and offer entry into a drawing. Have a list of similar homes that are for sale nearby and your contact info on it. Add contacts to your sphere of influence. List after the open houses. So open houses can be great seller bait. And so actually, I've already said that. Can be great seller bait. And it's not enough just to capture these clients. You want to follow up with them personally multiple times and add their information to your marketing campaigns. The right side of your screen says follow up immediately. Follow up with all unrepresented buyers the day after the open, and again 1 week later. Look for reasons to make the contact again. A new listing they might want to see, a price reduction, etc. And so remember some of these statistics, and I find these a bit alarming. Only 48% of salespeople, 48% of salespeople never follow up with the prospect. 25% of salespeople only make a second contact and then they stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. And only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. So it tells us 10% of the sales are made on the 4th contact, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th or more contact. So the difficulty is capturing the contact info. So here's a couple strategies that agents are using, so let's explore them. 1, many agents will put a sign on the front door alerting the visitors the homeowner has requested that all visitors sign in with the agent for safety purposes. Then the expectation is when they walk in through the door that they will have to sign in. 2, instead of asking them to fill out a contact sheet, how about if you ask them to fill out a home survey? And then you give them that survey on a chart with a pen, and they can fill out the survey as they're walking through the property. And the survey will have the usual rating systems, the poor, the nice, the exceptional, the 1 to 5, the 0 through 10 kind of rating systems. And then you have the different categories. Is how is the curb appeal? How are the first impressions? How is the kitchen? How are the baths? How's the staging? What do you think of the price? And then you include a statement like, if you would like additional information about this property or would like updates on any adjustments made, please provide your contact information. And adjustments can be a variety of things, not just pricing. They can be adjustments to the MLS, adjustments to offers coming in, adjustments on anything you do to the MLS. They've given you now permission to contact them with that adjustment. And next, you always want to have extra lists with you. So I recommend at least having two lists. One, you want to have similar styled and featured properties, regardless of price. And you want to have them near your listing or near the open house. So it could be in the same school district. It could be near a major employer. It could be near, it could be in a radius of some sort. And you want that list to be regardless of price. You want to have a second list of similar properties that are the same price regardless of the style and features. People are only visiting because they either love the picture, they love the style and features, or they are visiting because the home is in their price range. So you want to be able to satisfy those who come into the home and say, you know what, this home is nice, but the rooms are a little bit on the small side. The price looks about right, but we're looking for something that has a little bit more square footage, or we're looking for something that has a larger family room in the basement. So you want to be able to have that list at your fingertips. So, and once you get them, you get their contact information, you want to follow up. You want to leverage your drip campaigns and your MLS auto searches. If the buyers are represented, follow up with their agent. Let them know that their clients came by. It shows professionalism. Maybe you get some insight that you can pass along to your sellers, or maybe there's a long play there on recruiting that agent to your broker. Lastly, when you consider doing your open house, can you leverage and partner with a FISBO to do opens on the same day? Send each other prospects. Who knows? We do know that most FISBOs eventually will use an agent. Give them a reason to use you. Invite recent expireds and canceleds to your open houses. We know that they one time wanted to sell, and at one time they had a realtor. Show them why you should be their next choice. This one says strategically train your clients to refer you at the listing presentation, during the weekly check-ins, at the closing table. Keep your clients in your sphere of influence for regular marketing touches, where there's always the reminder that you are never too busy for their referrals. You want to ask, so asking for referrals is important. Even if your service is amazing, your past clients might not be thinking about you when the topic comes up. Stay top of mind. Keep asking when you have a chance. Add every client to your drip campaign in a calendar of touches. So at the listing presentation, let them know that you work primarily with clients referred to you by others. Your goal is to provide such remarkable service that you can't help but tell everyone they know about it. There are typically three monumental moments when the sellers are most happy with you. At the time that you have wowed them and they sign the listing agreement, at the time you bring them offers on the property, and then lastly at the closing table. These are all terrific times to ask them if they know anyone who might benefit from your services. All right. Let's see, where are we at here? I think, am I on the right slide? We have, I think, one more slide here. Here we go. So every time you get that referral, you want to contact the client as soon as you can. You want to thank them publicly on Facebook for the referral when appropriate, and you want to send them a handwritten thank you note. So every time you get a referral, you want to thank them with something other than a like on Facebook. Send them a handwritten thank you note. Remember the last time you received anything handwritten? If you do remember, if there was a last time, you probably also remember how appreciative you were that someone in today's world actually took the time and effort to do that. So, a couple of rhetorical questions. How much does your letterhead cost in your office? Oh, yeah, zero. How much are your envelopes in your office? Oh, yeah, that's kind of zero too. How much does it cost to print and stuff the envelopes? Oh, yeah, that's a big zero. So, you have the cost of stamps. And some of your offices might even have thank you cards already. So remember, we are thanking them for the behavior, not the outcome. So as soon as you get that referral, send them a thank you. All right, so looking forward, where are my 4 transactions is probably what you're asking. So one, you've got your listing with your strategic selection, your strategic pricing and marketing of your listing. We know it will sell. At least one buyer closing. Using the attract and capture techniques that we outlined here, you are sure to generate a buyer client that will result in a second closing. Another seller closing. When you strategically select and you price and you market your listings, you will attract the attention of others that want that same remarkable service. For those of you who have access to the listing concierge, I'm sure you will remember the 3 goals of the listing concierge. 1, you want to win every competitive listing. 2, you want to stop reducing your commissions. And 3, you want to turn 1 listing into 3. That is a big benefit of all the activities in the listing concierge. And in my world, the most impactful, helping you turn that 1 listing into 3. So a referral from your seller because of the awesome job you do and because you asked, you want to strategically select your listings, strategically price your listings, strategically market your listings, and you never forget that you're also marketing to potential sellers. Never miss that opportunity to collect or to capture their contact information and immediately add them to your sphere of influence marketing system. And then follow up, follow up, follow up. Remember, 80% of the sales occur once you've exceeded 5 contacts. And then in our hour together, this short time, we've only scratched the surface of how to build a successful listing-based business. To explore the entire seller path to profitability, consider taking a class like our Outlist Outlast workshop. Look, you will get more time to explore the hands-on activities. We simply couldn't do that in this webinar format. With smaller classes, you'll have time to interact with your trainers, and you will leave the listing workshops having built a pre-listing packet. You will have explored and built a listing presentation and a marketing plan. Get with your learning team and broker to learn more about that. So with that, I didn't see many things on the chat. I will be sending this out after class, this presentation. Always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions after class. We do have to make sure and kind of figure out if these things are working and how we can improve. If you would be also kind to go out to cbrevals.com and enter a quick eval of how today's class went. I know it may have been a bit chunky. We're still learning on our end too. My name is Rob Feil. I'm in the Western region. This class was turning 1 listing into 4. So with that said, it is exactly 2 o'clock. I thank you for your participation. You guys have been great. And certainly reach out. My email is robert.feil@cbburnett.com. With that, I look forward to your questions in my email. You all have a wonderful day. And if you want to stay on, I'll be happy to stay on if you've got any questions. Just put them in the panel. My email address again, I'll just put that in here. It's robert.feil@cbburnett.com. And that looks, there we go. You're welcome, Hickory, North Carolina. All right. Looks like everyone is wrapped up on their conversations and their questions in the chat. So I will go ahead and end today. For any of you that are still on, thank you again for your participation. And I look forward to hearing and seeing you. Oh, we have one